47,000 rows in the user's table turn to null after a cursor-generated migration. The AI read rename column as drop and add, wiping all existing data. Let's break down Cursor AI Mastery 10x development speed, how it works, and the exact mistake behind that failure. Cursor replaces autocomplete with an LLM deeply integrated into the editor. It reads your open files, project structure, and cursorrules config to generate or refactor code in place. The key unlock is eliminating context switching between editor and chat. The cursorrules file is the single most important configuration. It tells Cursor your technology stack, coding standards, file structure, and domain-specific constraints. Without it, Cursor generates generic code that may not match your project. Here's a comprehensive cursorrules file for a SaaS analytics platform. It covers technology stack, coding standards, file structure, naming conventions, domain rules, and anti-patterns. The Pro plan sends your code to Cursor's servers. Protect secrets and large files with cursorignore. Place this file in your project root before using Cursor on production code bases. Here's a standard cursorignore file. It excludes environment files, private keys, certificates, migration history, and build artifacts. Composer is Cursor's highest leverage feature. It generates changes across multiple files from a single prompt. The key to effective use is prompt specificity, reference files, list constraints, and describe expected output. Here are 3 effective Composer prompt patterns: feature generation, refactoring, and bug fixing. Each includes the exact prompt and expected output. Cursors at symbols control what context the AI sees. The right context produces the right code. Start with at file for the fastest and most precise output, then add at folder or at codebase only if needed. Here's the context hierarchy and when to use each symbol. Use at file for single file changes, at folder for feature modules, at codebase for cross-cutting changes, at web for external docs, and at Git for history. Cmd+K is for inline single file edits. Select the minimum code needed, describe the change, and Cursor modifies the selection in place. It's faster than Composer for small, focused changes. Here are 2 Cmd+K patterns: quick refactor and error handling. The first refactors a function to use reduce with proper types. The second improves error handling with status checks and user-friendly toasts. The quality of Cursor's output is directly proportional to the quality of your prompt. Use the 5-part formula: goal, context, constraints, output, and anti-patterns. This produces consistent, production-grade code. Here's an example of the 5-part formula for building a team invitation API endpoint. Notice how each part is explicitly stated, including anti-patterns to avoid. This is the same issue we highlighted at the start. Here's exactly why that happened. A developer asked Cursor to generate a migration that renames a column. Cursor interpreted rename as dropping the old column and adding a new one, which deleted all existing data. The migration looked correct in the file, but the SQL was destructive. Cursor interpreted rename column as drop plus add, causing data loss. The fix requires explicit alter table rename column syntax and mandatory diff review. The fix is to specify the exact SQL operation in the prompt, such as use alter table rename column. Also, always review AI-generated DDL against your actual production schema and run a diff against the last migration. Adding a cursorrules rule to prefer alter over drop plus ADD prevents recurrence. This is the exact pattern that caused the 47K row loss. The AI generated a drop column followed by an ADD column, which looks like a rename, but actually deletes all existing data. Always review DDL and prefer alter table rename column. Vague prompts produce generic or incomplete code. The AI might skip validation entirely or use weak checks. Always specify the exact validation library, rules, and error handling in your prompt. Using at codebase for every prompt wastes the context window on irrelevant files and slows down responses. Start with at file for the specific file, then add at folder or at codebase only if needed. Add a dedicated section to cursorrules that forces Cursor to use reversible operations and preserve data in database migrations. Without this, Cursor may generate destructive DDL like drop column instead of rename column. Use a structured prompt template that explicitly requires data preservation and reversible operations. This prevents Cursor from assuming the safe path is unnecessary. Cursor's context window, typically 8K 128K tokens, limits how much of your codebase it can see at once. For large projects, @codebase may not include all relevant files, leading to incomplete or incorrect migrations. Always verify that Cursor has seen the actual schema file by using @file prisma/schema, Prisma explicitly. To diagnose and fix issues with AI-generated code, always review changes before applying. For migrations, run a diff against the last migration to see what actually changed. Test on staging first. Use cursorrules to enforce safe patterns like preferring alter over drop plus ADD. Let's run through some common interview questions. What is Cursor AI and how does it differ from Copilot? Cursor is an AI native editor that understands your entire codebase, not just the current file. It can generate multi-file changes via Composer. How do you prevent Cursor from sending sensitive data? Use cursorignore to exclude env, keys, and other sensitive files from being sent to Cursor servers. What is the 5-part prompting formula? Goal, context, constraints, output, anti-patterns. This produces consistent, production-grade code. And a few frequently asked questions. Do I need cursorrules for every project? Yes, it tells Cursor your project conventions. Without it, Cursor generates generic code. Can Cursor refactor code across multiple files? Yes, use Composer mode Cmd+Shift+I for multi-file changes. Is Cursor safe for proprietary code? Use cursorignore to exclude sensitive files. The Pro plan sends code to servers, so be cautious. Let's recap the key takeaways. Cursorrules is the most important config file. Use Composer for multi-file, Cmd+K for single file. Prompt specificity determines code quality. Always review AI-generated DDL for safety. Ready to go deeper? Up next, Introduction to JavaScript, then variables in JavaScript, then data types in JavaScript, and operators in JavaScript. Find them all at TheCodeForge.io. Thanks for watching. The full article and code examples are covered in detail at TheCodeForge.io.